They say silence has a sound, and sometimes it roars louder than thunder. Between the calm shores of Miami, the island of Bermuda, and the edge of Puerto Rico, lies a patch of ocean feared by sailors, pilots, and truth-seekers alike. Over the past century, this triangle has swallowed ships, erased aircraft, and left behind no answers, only questions that deepen with time. Why do modern instruments fail here? Why are wreckages never found? Why does no single theory explain it all? Science has tried, skeptics have scoffed, yet the disappearances continue. Welcome to the Bermuda Triangle, a place where logic drifts and whispers rise, a place that some call nature's anomaly, and others, a well-hidden secret. You are watching Ceaseless Echoes, the channel where mysteries breathe, and the unexplained finds its voice. So, subscribe now, and open your mind. Because today we sail straight into the unknown. Draw a line from Miami to Bermuda, then to Puerto Rico, and finally, back to Miami. You've just traced one of the most feared shapes in modern folklore, the Bermuda Triangle. An invisible zone covering over 500,000 square miles of the North Atlantic Ocean, a triangle with no physical borders, but a very real reputation. This is not an abandoned patch of sea, it's one of the busiest travel corridors in the world. Every day commercial airliners, private jets, military vessels, cargo ships, and cruise liners pass through this region. And most of them never experience anything strange. But some do. Some vanish without a trace. No mayday, no wreckage, no final coordinates. Just silence and speculation. Why here? Why this zone? Is it simply a coincidence of traffic and weather? Or does this stretch of sea hide a secret we're not prepared to understand? Not all mysteries are born from myth. Some of the most haunting enigmas in history are not legends whispered around campfires, but real events, documented, investigated, and yet never explained. Some are written in logbooks, broadcast through last radio calls, and carved in silence. These are the stories that linger, not because of what we know, but because of what we never found. Within the Bermuda Triangle, these aren't tales. They are historical records, and their echoes still call out, challenging us to solve riddles that have stumped experts for generations. Case 1. Flight 19, the training mission that never returned, back in 1945. December 5th, 1945 to be exact. What began as a routine exercise would become one of the most famous disappearances in aviation history. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers take off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on a routine training flight. The skies are clear, the weather calm, and the mission straightforward. The pilots are experienced, the planes well maintained. The sea is calm, but hours later, radio contact turns strange. The pilots' voices, once confident, become anxious and confused. One voice crackles through static. "We can't find west. Everything looks wrong. The ocean doesn't look as it should." Their compasses spin wildly and navigation becomes impossible. The men are lost, disoriented, and running low on fuel. Then, silence. All 5 planes vanish. No wreckage, no bodies, not even oil slicks. The vast Atlantic swallows them whole, leaving behind only questions. Even more chilling, a rescue plane sent to search for them also disappeared, with 13 men on board. The search, meant to bring answers, only deepened the mystery. In a single evening, 27 lives disappeared into a sky that held no storms. Families waited for news that never came, and the world was left to wonder how so many could vanish without a trace. Case 2, USS Cyclops, the ship that evaporated in 1918. This was no small vessel, but a giant of its time, a vital link in the U.S. Navy's supply chain during World War I. A massive Navy cargo ship, 542 feet long, carrying over 300 men and 10,000 tons of manganese ore. The Cyclops was built to withstand the harshest seas, and her crew was seasoned and prepared. It sailed from Barbados to Baltimore and was never seen again. No SOS, no distress call, no trace. Just gone. The ship simply vanished somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle, leaving behind only rumors and speculation. To this day, it remains the largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. Navy history. Over 300 souls lost to the deep with not a single clue as to their fate. President Woodrow Wilson said it plainly, "Only God and the sea know what happened to the great ship." His words echo the helplessness felt by a nation searching for answers that would never come. Case 3. The Star Tiger and Star Ariel. The vanishing airliners in 1948 and 1949. Two British passenger aircraft, both lost within a year, both flying over the same mysterious region. Two British passenger aircraft flying separate routes under ideal conditions with experienced pilots. There were no storms, no mechanical failures reported, and no distress signals sent. Both disappeared mid-flight over the triangle, just a year apart. No storm, no technical faults, and once again no wreckage ever found. The planes, their passengers, and their crews simply ceased to exist. Official reports called it inexplicable. Others called it a pattern. Investigators pored over every detail, but the files remain open, the endings unwritten. And these aren't isolated. The list goes on, each case adding another layer to the mystery, another name to the roll call of the vanished. The Witchcraft, a cabin cruiser that vanished near Miami in sight of the shore. The Coast Guard arrived within minutes, but the boat and its passengers were gone, as if erased from existence. The Ellen Austin, a ship that found a drifting vessel, placed a crew on it, and then lost both ships in calm seas. The ocean, calm and unthreatening, became a stage for the impossible. These stories share something rare. No evidence of wreckage, no signs of sabotage, no logical closure. The disappearances defy explanation, leaving only speculation and sorrow in their wake. Just pages in history that end mid-sentence. The Bermuda Triangle remains a place where answers are as elusive as the ships and planes that vanished, and where every new disappearance only deepens the enigma. The human mind seeks reason. We are driven by a need to understand, to make sense of the world around us, to find patterns in chaos and explanations for the inexplicable. For every strange ripple in the ocean, we search for the stone that caused it. Every effect, we believe, must have a cause, no matter how hidden or mysterious, and so scientists, oceanographers, physicists, meteorologists have stepped into the triangle, not with fear, but with formulas. They've offered explanations, some compelling, some controversial, all grounded in logic. Their mission to shine a light into the shadows, to replace myth with measurement, and to transform legend into data. But do they solve the riddle, or just scrape its surface? For every answer, a new question seems to emerge, as if the triangle itself resists being fully understood. In 1997, European satellites confirmed the existence of rogue waves. Giant, spontaneous towers of water, sometimes over 100 feet high. Before this, such waves were dismissed as sailors' tales, but now, science had proof. They can form without warning, strike like a beast, and vanish within minutes. These waves are unpredictable, appearing out of nowhere and leaving devastation in their wake. In the Bermuda Triangle, with its clashing ocean currents, storms, and underwater geography, these waves are more than possible. They're likely. The unique conditions here create a perfect breeding ground for such phenomena. They could sink even the largest ships. Vessels that seem invincible can be swallowed whole, leaving behind only questions and empty seas. No warning, no trace. The ocean, calm once more, gives no hint of the violence that occurred just moments before. But what about planes? Ships aren't the only victims of the Triangle's mysteries. The tropical climate of the Triangle breeds volatility. Warm waters and shifting winds create a cauldron of atmospheric instability. Storms can form and vanish faster than satellites can track. Pilots can find themselves flying into clear skies one moment and into chaos the next. Microbursts, sudden downward blasts of air, can strike mid-flight, slamming planes toward the ocean like invisible hammers. These powerful gusts are nearly impossible to predict and can overwhelm even the most experienced pilots. Weather like this explains some crashes. But not all disappearances, especially the ones that happened in calm conditions. Sometimes the sky is clear, the sea is gentle, and yet, something vanishes. The Earth is a magnet, and not always a steady one. Our planet's magnetic field is in constant flux, shifting and warping in ways we're only beginning to understand. Some scientists believe the Bermuda Triangle sits near one of the rare places on Earth where true north and magnetic north align perfectly. This rare alignment can play tricks on navigation instruments. This can cause compass errors for navigators who aren't prepared. A simple misreading can send a ship or plane miles off course into danger. A small deviation in heading could spiral into a catastrophic miscalculation, especially in pre-GPS eras. Before modern technology, a single mistake could mean the difference between safety and disaster. But even magnetic variance doesn't explain sudden radio silence or the missing wreckage. Sometimes communication simply stops, and no trace is ever found. Deep beneath the triangle lie vast deposits of methane hydrate, a frozen gas that, when disturbed, can erupt to the surface. This is another theory, one that looks not to the sky, but to the ocean floor. This gas drastically lowers the water's density, enough to sink a ship instantly without a trace. The vessel would simply drop, swallowed by the sea before anyone could react. In the air, it could stall engines, confuse instruments, or even ignite. A plane flying through a methane cloud might lose power or worse, explode. But while the theory is sound in parts of the world, there's little hard evidence of such an eruption ever occurring in the triangle itself. The idea is intriguing, but the proof remains elusive. Science offers ideas, good ones, plausible, grounded, even fascinating. Each theory brings us closer to understanding, but none can claim to have solved the mystery entirely. But in every theory there remains a sliver of doubt, an unexplained piece, a gap between what we know and what we can only guess, a silence that logic can't quite fill. The ocean keeps its secrets, and sometimes science must admit its limits. And when the most rational minds admit they still don't fully know, the mystery lingers, not as fantasy, but as possibility. The search for answers continues, driven by curiosity, skepticism, and the hope that one day, the unknown will finally yield to understanding. Long before satellites tracked storms or black boxes recorded final words, before technology could even dream of mapping the unknown, sailors and storytellers warned of a cursed sea. This was a place where the rules of nature seemed to bend, where the ocean itself whispered secrets to those brave or foolish enough to listen. There was talk of a region where compasses spun wildly, time slipped through your fingers, and entire vessels, ships and planes alike, simply vanished without a trace. Science, of course, demands evidence, data, and explanation. But myth, on the other hand, demands only memory, the echo of a story passed from one trembling voice to another, growing with each retelling. Some believe the Bermuda Triangle is not just a place shrouded in mystery, but a region built quite literally on top of it, a mystery layered upon another deeper enigma. Beneath the waves, some say, lies the foundation of the greatest legend of all, Atlantis, the mythical island described by Plato, a civilization lost to time and tide. Atlantis was said to possess technology and wisdom far beyond its era, a society that flourished, and then, in a single day and night, was swallowed by the sea. Its fate became a warning, a riddle, and a beacon for dreamers and seekers. Many researchers and explorers point to sonar scans of strange symmetrical structures deep beneath the Atlantic, near Bimini. These formations, some argue, are too precise to be natural, hinting at the handiwork of a lost civilization. Could the triangle's modern-day anomalies be the echoes of ancient technology still pulsing, still active beneath the ocean floor? Is it possible that the past is not as distant as we think, but alive and influencing the present in ways we barely understand? Or is it simply a sunken tale, a legend retold so many times that it has become part of the very fabric of the sea itself? Some suggest the Bermuda Triangle is more than a danger zone. It's a portal, a threshold between worlds. A thin place where the boundaries between dimensions may overlap or even open, allowing the impossible to slip through. In this view, disappearances aren't mere accidents or navigational errors, they're transitions, passages to somewhere or something else. Alien theorists take it further, suggesting the region is monitored, maybe even used by intelligent life not of this Earth, beings who watch, who wait, who perhaps intervene, hidden, watching, pulling travelers through space and time for reasons we can only guess at, their motives as mysterious as the sea itself. Is there proof? No, not the kind that science can measure or catalog, but the absence of wreckage, the silence, the sheer impossibility of it all. For some, that's evidence enough. The ocean keeps its secrets well. For every skeptic, there is a believer who sees the unexplained as a sign, not of ignorance, but of hidden truth. There are rare but chilling stories, accounts that defy logic and linger in the minds of those who hear them. Pilots who lose hours and seconds, clocks that freeze, instruments that go blank, and a sense of reality that slips away like mist. In 1970, pilot Bruce Gernon claimed his plane was engulfed in a tunnel of clouds and emerged hundreds of miles away, 30 minutes ahead of time. His instruments spun wildly, and he felt as if he had passed through a doorway in the sky. But he landed safely, confused, shaken, but alive. His story remains one of the few where the witness survived, and the strangeness could not be explained away. His experience is a rare glimpse into the unknown, a reminder that sometimes the most unbelievable stories come from those who return to tell them. Medieval sea charts called parts of the Atlantic the Sea of Fear, a name that speaks to centuries of dread and awe. Some maps bore warnings, "Here be dragons." Were these merely metaphors for the unknown, or memories of real dangers now lost to time? Old maps like the Peary Race chart, drawn with astonishing detail centuries before modern satellites existed, continue to baffle historians. These maps show parts of the Atlantic with surprising accuracy, as if their creators had knowledge that should have been impossible for their time. How did they know? By whose guidance or what lost wisdom were these maps drawn? Some believe that ancient mariners knew more than we credit, that their understanding of the world was deeper and perhaps stranger than we imagine. And some of what they knew, they feared, passing it down as warnings, as stories, as legends that still haunt the waves. The sea, after all, is a place of both wonder and terror, where knowledge and fear are often intertwined. These stories live on not because they were proven, but because they were never disproven. The unanswered questions keep the legends alive. The mysteries remain, stamped unsolved, inviting new generations to wonder, to search, to dream. They live in the minds of those who sailed too far, who dared to cross the line between the known and the unknown. And perhaps, in places we've yet to look, in the deep trenches and hidden corners of the world, the answers still wait. Myth may not be truth in the scientific sense, but it is a kind of truth, a reflection of our fears, our hopes, and our endless curiosity. Sometimes, myth carries a truth that science has not yet translated, a whisper from the past that urges us to keep searching, to keep questioning, and to never stop listening to the legends and whispers of the sea. Sometimes the loudest part of a mystery is what isn't said. Over the decades, as ships vanished and aircraft failed without cause, one might expect detailed investigations, transparency, warnings. Instead, we often find gaps, missing files, redacted reports, and official silence. Take Flight 19, the most famous Bermuda Triangle case. The official Navy report first blamed pilot error, then weather, then changed again. Even the final transcript from the control tower remains vague and edited. Then there's the disappearance of the USS Cyclops. Over 300 men gone, the largest non-combat loss in United States Navy history. To this day, no wreckage found, no government memorial, no conclusive cause ever stated. In 2012, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration published an article dismissing the Bermuda Triangle as no more dangerous than anywhere else. Yet internal aviation logs, declassified in part, show repeated equipment failures, compass anomalies, and unexplainable losses over the region, logged by military pilots themselves. it raises a question. If there is nothing here, why the secrecy? Why the redactions? Why the quiet updates to archives long after public interest has faded? No, we're not saying there's a cover-up. We're not claiming a conspiracy. We're just pointing to the silence and letting it echo. What if the Bermuda Triangle isn't meant to be solved? What if it exists, not as a flaw in nature or a hole in science, but as a reminder that the world is still bigger than we understand? It could be rogue waves and rare storms. It could be compasses and clouds and coincidence, or it could be something older, something deeper. The sea, after all, does not explain itself. It just moves, it just swallows. Some sailors call it cursed. Some pilots call it cursed. Some governments call it irrelevant, and yet, people keep disappearing. Maybe the truth isn't hidden. Maybe it's just ignored. Maybe we were never supposed to find it. The Bermuda Triangle remains silent, unchanging, infinite. And whether you believe it's just water or something more, you cannot deny its whisper still calls out to us all. And if you listen closely, you'll still hear an echo.